Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 21st of May. Yes, obviously, guys, as you guys don't aware, we didn't film last week. Sadly, unfortunately, earlier this week, I had to go to hospital after having food poisoning, horrible illness. Thankfully, I feel much better now. And I'm back tonight to present the show. But boy, do we have a lot to talk about in that time that I had off. Boy, we had loads of news. I'm joined by Labour Party supporters, Zach Transparent, all latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, mate.
We have had a lot of news. Local elections, a by-election in Makerfield, government resignations. Wow, it's all kicking off, isn't it, in the world of UK politics at the moment? Let's start with I'm going to start with my villains of the week this week. The first one for me is going to be, well, it has to be the turmoil in the government that deserved the first one. Yes, they're all resigning. Wes Streeting resigning from the cabinet. And, well, it wasn't exactly his resignation speech, calling for talking about nationalism. He called for Labour Party to change course. And yes, can I just say, Sir Keir Starmer is a dead man walking right now. The fact that he's losing his own cabinet, half of them are resigning. Obviously, Jess Phillips was the one who kind of kick-started it all off. But the fact that Starmer went on, what was it, on the weekend and spoke about the United Kingdom rally, the comments he made about that, I was like, what? The British Patriots attending that? Whether it was a Tommy Robinson so-called rally or not, I don't know. There were people there that were attending as patriots, and yet he claimed that they were all bigots. I can't pronounce the words that I'm about to say, but yes, the Prime Minister was certainly getting desperate, and it took the GB News Labour MP. I think it was the Labour MP Barry Gardner for Brent or something he condemned the comments apparently when he after an armed forces veteran appeared on the show. But yes, Labour are in turmoil this week. I have to say, I think that the nomination, Sir Keir Starmer, certainly sums that one up in a nutshell. For villains of the week this week, and also as well, the other one that's certainly been well. I just want to say, I think another nomination this week. I'm going to give it. I'm going to sound like I'm being kind of a bit crazy here, but I want to give the next nomination to Radio Caroline for, and this one was
Oh my
very
god.
bizarre. Okay, does anyone remember going to the end of Southend Pier and listening to Radio Caroline? Their little shit used to dock there. They made a very bizarre. They had to delete this comment claiming that the king had died. Who edited their socials? Like, what is this? Honestly, I saw this on Dan Whitlam's show and I was like, come on, this is absolutely crazy. The editorials guidelines got so messed up there, and someone was like, honestly, the king is not well. I know he's got cancer, but whoever wrote that, I don't know what to say. I mean, Zach, what's your villains of the week this week?
Well, my one is clearly. I've got two actually. I'm going to give two here. The first one is to. I'm actually going to come on to the mess of the Labour Party minute because that's my second one. The first one I'm giving it to this week is Southampton FC. Yeah, Southampton Football Club is my main villain. Well, one of the villains of the week this week. If you haven't been following this, then God knows what world you're living in. Southampton, who have played their way into the playoffs and into the playoff final this weekend, turn out to be a bit of cheaters after all. They sent one of their staff to spy on their rivals' training grounds. They've been caught red-handed. If I remember rightly, they spied on Middlesbrough's training. If I remember, training ground. Was it Hull? Oh no, was it Hull? It was Hull, wasn't it? Yeah, no, it was Hull. They spied on their training ground. And yeah, they sent members to staff to spy. In fact, they've missed multiple breaches of spying, actually, including, I think, one of them at Oxford and a few others as well. They've admitted the charges, and they were thrown out of they've been thrown out of the EFL playoff championship finals this weekend, which is obviously taking place at Wembley. And yeah, they've been thrown out. They did appeal yesterday. Their appeal was not successful. They've admitted the charges. So, I mean, it's disgraceful what's happened here. And I think it's clear to see that they have unfairly and unauthorized tactics to gain information on a rival that's not in the spirit of the game. I mean, the fans might find it funny when they go around and do all these, get the binoculars out and everything. I mean, they're quite fair enough. But the team itself, who should be most professional in conduct, disgraced themselves, right? Quite, in all honesty, with several members of staff caught up in this spying scandal. It looks like the head coach is about to be sacked because it sounds like he's culprit in this mess as well. And this has been a humiliating. I feel sorry for the fans. I feel sorry for, because I mean the decision to expel them from the playoffs were correct. I don't disagree with the decision. I think it sets a good example that cheating should not be permitted in football. But I also feel sorry for the fans who probably spent tickets to get to Wembley and are now having to get refunds because of Southampton's own idiotic actions. I feel really sorry for fans. On the other hand, I feel delighted for the whole City fans who, on short notice, have got this opportunity, despite losing their playoff tie. They get the opportunity against Middlesbrough now. And I think it's going to be really how are Hull going to adapt? That's my question. How are both teams going to adapt now that they have a change of opponents? That Middlesbrough would have been preparing for Southampton. That's obviously no longer the case. They're now prepared for Hull. How are they going to adapt around that? And obviously it has this pepper. How will Hull? Will they be able to peak into gear now that they know that now? A week ago, they didn't think they were having a game. Now they are having a game this week on Saturday with Middlesbrough. That would be one thing to look out for. Are they going to be at their best performance? I hope they are, because they're in the headlines for all the reasons that it's a good for them. But they're obviously they've sort of been the second fiddle of all of this now, and and we've resulted in this legal mess as well with Southampton and their stupid actions, but. Yeah, that's this weekend. It's at 3:30 now rather than 4:30. By the way, they've moved the kickoff time for this tie up an hour, so it's 3:30. But yeah, Southampton first win of the week for me. Second, as you mentioned, the Labour Party. Oh my God, how many things can we? I've never lost count of a lot of things that have been happening with that party, with the party over the last couple of weeks. My God, it's exhausting. Where do we begin? I mean, local elections was a disaster. There's no denying that. It's the biggest seat loss since Tony Blair lost like 900 seats in the local elections in well. Many seats lost to Reform, to the Greens, some to Conservatives even as well. Although to say that Conservatives didn't have a great night either, by the way, even though they did get some results going in their favour, they still lost a lot of there as well. But Labour, it's a disaster night across the country for Labour. They lost in Scotland. They lost in Wales. The first, they were reduced to single digits in Wales for the first time since goodness knows how long devolution lasted in Wales. I mean, you got to go back generations. Ruth Ann Wilnoth is now the new First Minister of Wales. The SNP have remained in charge in Scotland. They're seeking an independence referendum, even though they're never going to get it. And the fact they lost seats as well, which I think is, quite silly. But there we go. But yeah, and then the disaster that was the local election. It did take a little while to process. And then Keir Starmer had a bit of a make or break speech back on the Monday, which people feel like lacked vision. We know that the Sunday before that, we saw Catherine West. Yeah, I mean, no one pretty much heard of her before that. Catherine West, the almost like the uprising of Catherine West, threatening a leadership challenge against Keir Starmer and trying to get the 81 names needed to trigger a contest. Yeah, it did it. She sort of pulled back from the reins a little bit, but that wasn't where the main action began. It was the Monday after the speech that Keir Starmer did, as well. That stuff triggered for a wave of backbenchers to start calling for Keir Starmer to land a timetable for his resignation, for his departure as Prime Minister. We had a few PPSs in then. Then there was murmuring about what Wes Streeting was going to do as well, because they're out cabinet as well. There was a United Cabinet on Tuesday, but then there was some more junior PPSs, including some junior ministers starting to run. Mahathir Bhambulla, Jess Phillips is a big name as well. A few other junior ministers started resigning in that as well. And there was more names and names calling for him to go. I have to say, some of the names that were calling for him to go were not your usual lefty socialist ones that you sort of expect from the Labour Party. It was those that have known Keir Starmer well and everything like that. Chris Curtis, I can give you an example from that as well. Some of the 2024 intake as well. The Baby of the House, for example, called for his resignation and for timetable departure. Then we got to sort of Wednesday with the King's speech, and Wes Streeting and a few others was on Resignation Watch actually as well. Look, there were still names coming out calling for the PM to resign, all that sort of thing as well. But the story was dominated by Wes Streeting and whether he would launch a leadership bid as well. And then we got to Thursday, and it was a long period of quiet and everything like that. And then Wes Streeting resigned on the Thursday as Health Secretary. Obviously, a big loss to the cabinet, no doubt about it. But he was quite scathing at Keir Starmer. He did not launch a leadership challenge. He decided not to because some would say, well, he didn't have the numbers. Others, I said actually no. He rather start the leadership contest when there's more candidates in it, and when Keir Starmer when he announced his departure, it does seem that Wes Streeting is going to try and stand as leader of the party whenever the next leadership election comes along. But yeah, that letter was damning on the Thursday, gave him the reason why he was resigning from government as well. He's been replaced by James Murray, who's the new Health Secretary. Obviously, James Murray moving on means that Lucy Rigby is new chief. He's one of the chief secretaries of the Treasury now, in that role. But yeah, chaos. And yet still Keir Starmer digs in. He is still the leader of the Labour Party. He is still not announced his resignation. But is this the beginning of the end? Because on Thursday evening, we had the big news that Josh Simmons, the MP, that was MP for Makerfield, was announcing he was giving up his seat for the King of the North, Andy Burnham. And that was the big breaking news on Thursday evening as well. Andy Burnham announced he was going to enter the race as well. He has now been approved by the NEC, no blocking this time, to be the candidate for Makerfield as well. That is going to be a big by-election race in what is supposed to be, you would think normally would be highly likely a reform gain. But with Burnham in the race now, I mean, goodness knows, is it going to be about the candidate rather than the party this time? Can Andy Burnham defy all odds and use his style if he wins for Makerfield, that he could win a general election, a leadership contest for the Labour Party and all that sort of thing? Can he run on all that sort of thing as well? That remains to seen. But yeah, Andy Burnham could maybe on his way, if all goes to plan for him, he may be back on his way to Parliament. And you would think afterwards it starts to become the beginning of the end for Keir Starmer as Labour leader. in the not so distant future, if he does get in, that by-election is taking place next month. I'll tell you what, it is taking place, if I get the date right here as well, on the 18th of June as well. That will be the date, I believe, when the by-election comes along for Andy Burnham in Makerfield as well. Reform will fancy their charges, and they're going all in that seat as well. But yeah, the Prime Minister survived, limping still and on life support as well. He's come out fighting. Obviously, he's been the King's speech this week was the government agenda. Chancellor's announced some new costs of living saving measures as well. Yeah, they're still on fighting, but how long ever this fight goes on for, I do not know. Yeah, I feel like it's beginning the end, and even I didn't think it was going to survive at one point either. But yeah, the cabinet wants to stay on. He wants to stay on, and it appears he's not going anywhere for now.
Does anyone remember Keir Starmer demanding Boris Johnson resign about 4 or 5 years ago? It was like, Boris, resign, resign, and then now Starmer's like, I'm not resigning. But the questions around the candidates remain, because I've just found this comment about Andy Burnham, because over the last few days there's been big talk about Brexit come back into the fray again. This was a comment Andy Burnham made, saying Brexit was damaging, but rules out campaigning again. Have a listen to this.
My view is that Brexit has been damaging, but I also believe the last thing we should do right now is rerun those arguments. Britain will be stuck in a permanent rut if we're just constantly arguing and people are pulling away from each other. It is time, surely, isn't it, to bring people back together, to focus on what we've got in common, to get the growth coming to all places so it's felt there. That is what we need in this moment. And it's really important that whatever comes out of this by-election, there's a more kind of unifying feeling about the change that we need to work towards.
So that was Andy Burnham's take. However, though, Erez Streeting actually said something else, which was very, very interesting.
They left the government
over Brexit as well. Have a listen to what Wes Streeting had to say, because he was actually blasted as, quote, a nationalist. Have a listen to this.
What planet is Wes Streeting on? Did you just watch the speech by Wes Streeting in Parliament, where he was basically, in the same week that Wes Streeting said we should rejoin the European Union, he has the audacity to tell you at home, you're not a patriot. You're not a patriot if you don't agree with the Labour Party. You're a nationalist. Nationalism is the new threat. We all know what they mean by nationalism. They just won't use what they really mean because they're getting too much trouble for saying fascism. Nationalists are the new threat, and you're a nationalist if you want to control borders. You're a nationalist if you have a problem with segregation in Britain. You're a nationalist if you have a problem with sectarian politics. And only voting Labour Party can put this all right. The Labour Party reclaiming patriotism.
Zach, what did you make to his comments the other day about Brexit? Because they were very, very interesting, I have to say.
Yeah, Wes Streeting is clean advocate for rejoining the EU. I mean, I don't think we'll have it any time soon, but he clearly blames Brexit for some of the problems in the UK, and I'm not surprised. I mean, there are definitely some of the problems that Brexit left behind. It's left a damaging legacy, and it's caused a huge bunch of issues, actually. It's strained relationships, it's weakened our economy, and he's not wrong. Would the public really want the EU joining referendum now? No, I don't think they would, and Burnham's right to point them out as well. But Wes has got some points, though, I think, as well. And I think he does definitely want to see rejoining the EU, obviously, in eventually in the future. And I can't, I love that to happen personally myself, but I don't know whether it will. I think it's unlikely in the next 10, 20 years that we'll be having that debate. And it's a long way off yet, I think. It's a long way off to decide whether that happens or not so far. But he makes some good points.
That's the latest news there from pretty much the world of the Labour Party and also many other political moments as well. But moving on now to local elections. Right, now, last week we were going to do some local election roundups. but obviously we didn't because I wasn't on air. So we're going to quickly do over some of the council reviews. This was the polling, by the way, that was taken from the other week. You can see there, by comparison, the gains made for Reform UK. Massive gains. Reform UK winning 1,451 seats. Labour actually losing 1,468. Liberal Democrats were up 155. Conservatives down 563. The Greens made big gains as well, up to 587. 213 independent as well. See, Hannah Spence, also an MP for Gorton and Denton, also put a question to Starmer the other day over Al Booz in there. However, there's been a lot in the news this week over Zach Polanski lying about lots of stuff on his CV. These were some of the big gains as well. West Surrey, Liberal Democrat won a council there. East Surrey, Liberal Democrat won. Tunbridge Wells as well. Thurrock, that went to Reform. I believe the Essex County Council also went to Reform. No major overall control in Essex County Council. I believe the Conservatives and Reform are in the coalition there. Havering also went Reform. That was Reform gained from no party majority. Labour held Barking and Dagenham and also Redbridge. The Greens gained Waltham, Forest from Labour. Also, Hackney was another gain for the Greens. That was also from a Labour seat. Labour held Islington Borough Council. That is actually, I believe, Jeremy Corbyn. Islington North is actually Jeremy Corbyn's home constituency, but he's independent now. Camden Borough Council as well. Ealing, they held. St Albans, Liberal Democrats held as well. They also held South Cambridgeshire as well. And also up in the north as well, you've got Sandwell, Reform gained Sandwell from Labour. Reform gained Walsall. They also gained as well Newcastle upon Tyne Borough Council as well. They look like Reform, Zach, to take away from the local elections, Reform UK have made massive gains, particularly from Labour strongholds as well, and also the Greens making strongholds in some Labour areas.
Yeah,
well.
exactly. And honestly, the amount of political change on the map is, it's a lot to say. I mean, overall, when you look at it, Reform gained like 14 councils overall. I mean, this is compared to, we're comparing 2022 results to 2020. Obviously, these elections were last held in 2022. They're in some way, this is obviously for Reform, it's a clean slate as well. So they're obviously new, and obviously for them as well, this is for the first time for them, and they won big. Let's just be honest. They won very big. I mean, they're up 1,372. That's how much they did. Obviously, they're defending about 100 so seats. So it was a big game for them, and they gained big. Let me tell you some of the areas that they won. I'll give you for example as well. I mean, let's look at some of the councillors, the interest as well that sort of happened as well. But like Labour held Manchester, but they lost 24 of the 30 seats they're defending, and at the benefits of the Greens. And that's one area they lost by as well. I mean, we're talking about Reform on this area as well, but they lost to the Greens, especially in lefty Manchester, for example. Nuneaton was Reform made gains there. Wigan, again, Reform. This is Lisa Nandy's area. Then Reform were making strongholds as well. Only a third of seats were contested, and one of the Labour failed to win a single seat and losing the 20 it got. Now they do have majority control of those councils still, but the fact is they're losing seats in their area. That tells you something. Reform are getting in those traditional Labour heartlands. In Havering, late Reform on their first ever London councillor as well. It's the sort of outer area of the capital as well. 70% they won of the vote. That's quite incredible as well. In Newcastle, Labour lost ground as well. Huge example, actually, no over control. But the gains were the Greens, the Lib Dems, and Reform on that area as well. Labour lost Lambeth Council for the first time in 20 years. That the Greens won 29 seats. They previously only had 4. In Hackney, goodness me, Greens only controlled 24 years of the council. They also gained the mayorship as well there as well. Yeah, that is huge gains for there as well. It really is. We look at Lewisham, also the Greens also gained there as well. Labour held in Newham just about. They have the Tower Hamlets with Spyhole. You remember Luther Raab, and another hold for him there as well. Pretty much not surprised there. Lib Dems also held Watford as well in that area. But there was also as well as that as well. Obviously, Labour lost control of Birmingham. Labour lost control to Noble, to Bradford. The Reform made massive gains there as well. Noble control in Croydon, with Labour just hanging on to the largest party with the losses of the Greens and gains for Lib Dems and Reform in sort of that area as well. But yeah, let's talk a few others as well in this area as well. I'm just going through some of it as well, like Labour losing Barnet to Noble control. As well, that one's where Tories actually made gains. That's sort of a very heavy Jewish area where Labour's kind of come to criticism for Jewish people, that they're sort of leaning conservative this time round. So that's where Barnet had gone as well. Reform gained Barnsley. Look at that, 42 gained seats as well. Basildon's went still no overall control, but Reform made massive gains as I expected there as well. No surprise. As well, Gavin Callaghan lost his. I think all the Labour councils are up. Basildon lost their seat as well. Interesting.
Yeah, he's resigned from the council now.
Yeah, they lost all their seats there. So we got Conservative, Labour, and Reform 12, 12, 11 now. That will be fun to figure out that one. Basingstoke as well, no overall control. Bexley, stats pretty much the same there as well. Reform gaining Blackburn. They lose. They lost. Labour lost that no over control on that one as well. What I'm looking at, Brent went down. Conservatives and Lib Dems actually made gains in Brent actually, and so did the Greens, with Labour losing control of that one as well. No over control Brentwood. Reform making gains there as well. I just want to see some that have made big gains. Calderdale, well, that's a big one. Labour Reform game in there as well. Labour losing over control on Cambridge to the parts of the Greens as well. Camot Chase Reform making big gains on that one as well. I could go all over this as well. Colchester still over control. Coventry, wow. Labour losing over control of that one. Lib gains had a decent all night, quiet night, but did gain some councils, such as East Surrey from the Conservatives, those sort of the blue wall areas as well. East Sussex, again, Reform made big gains. That's no over control, but Reform made big gains on that one as well. Yeah, and obviously the big area is Essex as well. I mean, my goodness. Reform tore the Conservative sub in that area. 52 gained in that area as well. Not without controversies, though. One councillor already gone from the Reform because of some silly posts they put up as well. I know if you saw that at the council this week as well. Gateshead, blimey, that's a big one for Reform. Complete control there as well. I mean, on that one as well. So Hampshire's gone no overall control now. Reform making big gains in that one. Some Lib Dem gains in that one. Harlow, I'm a bit surprised actually in this area because the Conservatives actually improved. They actually managed to keep, and there was actually projecting that Reform might get something, but they actually paved the way quite well for. They didn't really make anything on that one actually. They still only got one council on that, which was a bit surprising to me. Conservatives actually made inroads in Harrow. Hartlepool was now gone no over control. Hastings actually, Greens have gained for no over control. Greens got another council on Hastings, would you believe it or not, on that one. Enough as well. The Isle of Wight's no over control. Reform getting a lot there as well. The Labour actually, the only bit good area for Labour was actually Kensington and Chelsea. They actually gained 6 councillors, would you believe it or not. I'm actually surprised on that one. Islington was where the Greens made progress as well. Milton Keynes was a good night for Reform as well. Newcastle again upon line, great night. Reform game, the Conservatives in that one. That's one. Sunderland, I mean, that was a demolition job for Labour. They lost 45 seats. Reform gained 58. I mean, that's stunning. That is actually stunning on Reform getting there as well. Suffolk will also Reform as well. Labour with Swindon's obviously Reform gained on that one, but there was a Noble Control one. Tameside is where Reform also put Labour in Noble Control. Tamworth obviously lost there for Labour as well. Thurrock, my goodness me, that's an area we need to talk about. There was 45 councillors for Reform. Now they gained 41 on that night as well. Whatever was on the Greens, wow, big gains in Waltham Forest. And that's one. Wakefield, my goodness, another demolition job there. They've now got one council after having 48 before. Reform got 58 councillors now in that area as well. We went through Surrey already. West Sussex, where Lib Dems and Reform made gains as well. Westminster was actually Conservative gain. They actually managed to get 8 seats in that one as well. Wigan we've sort of been through where Reform made big ones as well. And Worthing is where Labour lost to Noble Control. Goodness me, there's a lot going on there. So yeah, and obviously they completely got demolished in Wales and Scotland as well. It's just a lot. Horrific night for Labour, let's just say that as well. Bad night for Conservatives. I mean, they do have some bright spots, but still a bad night overall. Lib Dems, quiet night for them, but still some gains. Greens will be happy with their performance. Most certainly. They'll definitely be happy as well. So yeah, that's about a terrible night for Labour overall. And the result and Reform will be absolutely thrilled with what they've managed to get out with overall.
Local elections all rounded up. Now it's time for the sports news now. And boy, do we have a lot of sports news. I'm really excited this weekend, guys, because we've got a lot of sport. We've got the Premier League final matches of the Premier League. We've got the Formula One back. We've got the Indy 500 on. I'll come on to the motorsport stuff in a minute. We'll talk obviously first about the Premier League. And also, there is not great news. England ahead of the World Cup with a couple of injuries to report over. Not what we want to start off a World Cup as well. I'll come on to that in a minute as well. But firstly, in the Premier League, yes, if my uncle's watching this show, I'm sure you celebrated with a nice pint the other day. Arsenal won one, only might have been 1-0, but it was their first title, the first Premier League title in 22 years, their first time since the Invincibles era. I was 1 year old when they won the title back in 2004. They won the title, the 1-0 win against Burnley, and Manchester City only got a draw against Bournemouth. Also, Aston Villa were 4-2 winners against Liverpool. That was also after Villa won the Europa League. I think it was a 3-1 or 3-0 win to secure that against Freiburg to secure the title. In that one there, Villa Europa League champions. Well done to Unai Emery. He continues his Europa League success with many clubs. Also as well, Villa actually beat Liverpool 4-2. Manchester United were 3-2 winners against Forest. Palace and Brentford was a Desmond Tool draw. Leeds beat Brighton 1-0. Wolves and Fulham was 1-1. Dead rubber. Everton lost 3-1 against Sunderland. They played Tottenham on the final day this Sunday in a big match. Also, West Ham play against Leeds. Big match to determine who's going to be staying in the Premier League. Fight for survival gears up for Sunday at 4:30 in them two matches. Chelsea lost against beat Spurs 2-1. I was about to say lost there. Chelsea beat Spurs 2-1. Tottenham, of course, under a lot of pressure now. But they have to in that match against West Ham. Obviously, all the matches there displayed. All 4:00 kickoffs on Sunday. Man City, Villa, Brighton, United, Fulham, Newcastle, Spurs, Everton, Tottenham, Everton. Liverpool, Brentford, Burnley, Wolves, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, West Ham, Leeds, Sunderland, Chelsea, Crystal Palace against the champions Arsenal. Arsenal will then play the following weekend against Paris Saint-Germain on the Saturday. in Hungary, Budapest, for the Champions League final with the trophy parade at the end of May on the last Sunday of the month. So will Arsenal have another trophy to add to their name for that parade, or will it be just the one? I don't know on that one. Of course, VAR certainly had their VAR certainly been in the headlines over the last few weeks as well, with challenges and stuff as well. And also, yes, plenty of news. And Zach, the Premier League season is nearly over, and England have 2 more injuries ahead of the World Cup.
Yeah, there's just so much been going on in the football world recently as well. But obviously, first of all, Arsenal FC. I mean, it's been years of pain waiting for that trophy. They've all been named bottle jobs. They couldn't do it and everything like that, and that sort of thing. Well. Throw out the names, whatever. I mean, yeah, you know, you had the Invincibles those 24 years ago, and now this time you get, well, the Indestructibles, shall we say, and that in this part. Well done to them. They've been, look, it's not always been easy. They've made it tough for themselves at times, but my goodness, haven't they deserved it at the end? The winner always deserves it, and it can't. It isn't false in this sense. As well, it never is false, and my goodness, certainly doesn't deserve it. They won 1-0 against Burnley, but the one that decided the title was the match between Bournemouth and Manchester City. Bournemouth played really well. They got a draw at the end, but it was enough. It was all obviously Arsenal needed Manchester to do was to make sure they had to win. They didn't win. They did not win. And therefore, they go into this weekend 4 points ahead. And that is enough to be having the trophy lift at Selhurst Park on Sunday. I mean, the scenes outside the Emirates on Tuesday night when the title was confirmed was insane. I mean, everyone gathered outside the stadium, fans there at 4 o'clock in the morning. The players were there at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. They were outside just there getting pictures of the fans at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, blimey. I mean, they didn't get any sleep, I imagine, and they were partying all over the night, and I'm surprised. Wonder if the one had the odd hangover or so. We'll never know. But yeah, Man City were outclassed by Bournemouth throughout that game. Bournemouth, which has been unbelievable, by the way. This is like they've been like undefeated in 15, 16 games. I mean, that is spectacular in its own right. I mean, they haven't been winning, but they've been they haven't lost either. And it's been spectacular watching. And Iraola Adiola, obviously, will be leaving it at the end of the season, deserves so much credit for what they've done as well. And obviously, congratulations, and we must say as well, to Aston Villa, who won the Europa League last night with a fantastic performance. Yesterday. They were class. Some brilliant goals as well against Freiburg. And I just want to highlight some of them as well in it, because there were some absolute belters in them. And some of the players stepping up so magnificently. Yuri Tillemans, Buenda as well, with the absolute whopper of a second goal to win that, to get that second goal before half time. That was incredible goal. And then you have Morgan Roberts with a sweet kick into after that as well. Absolutely, Villa were just a class above Freiburg yesterday. They were utterly brilliant. They were at Freiburg, and they just did so well. It was a joy to watch, and even Prince William, who enjoyed it in Turkey as well. I think that was definitely the trip worth for him as well. It's Aston Villa's first trophy, and I think is it like 30 years or something like that? They got their first trophy.
40, 50 years, a long time
as well. So well done. I mean, it's an absolute great achievement for Aston Villa, who guaranteed Champions League football anyway. But with the result against Liverpool, they're going to get even more security now. Now, I should mention it is the final matches of the Premier League this weekend. There are still games to play for. All 10 games will kick off at Sunday at 4 o'clock. And I'll go through some of them actually, because there are still implications to be thought about, including Europe, including relegation. Now, what Aston Villa's victory has done is create an interesting scenario. But in the Europa League, is to create an very interesting scenario on how Champions League will be determined, whether teams get Champions League or not. We'll come on to that in a minute. So let's talk about Manchester City versus Aston Villa first of all. There's an element in the game that's really important, because if City win that one, the implications are interesting, because Aston Villa will be in the Champions League regardless, but it could decide whether sixth place gets Champions League football, whether it gets Europa League football or not, because of Aston Villa's victory. If Aston Villa loses, and I believe, I think it's the case, if I'm correct in saying that, if I go to the standings here as well, on this one, it all depends on what happens, I believe, at Liverpool v Brighton Liverpool. Will depend on what their results could be as well. So Brighton are, so Liverpool have got to beat Brighton. So if Aston Villa lose to Manchester City and Liverpool beat Brighton, Aston Villa will go into 5th place. Then that has implications about Champions League position, because if Bournemouth stay as they are, 6th position would get, rather than go from the Europa League, would get a Champions League spot and say, so Bournemouth could, well, depending on the results, could well still be playing Champions League football next season. They're in the Europa League circle, but depending on what happens at Aston Villa and at Liverpool, between Liverpool and Brighton, Bournemouth could still get Champions League football. They will get European football in some form this year. They will at least get a Europa League spot at the very minimum, because the lowest they can finish is 7th now, so they will get a Europa League spot regardless. But whether it's Champions League or Europa League will depend on Aston Villa. If Aston Villa win, then 6th position will be Europa League. If not, and Liverpool winning against Brighton, then 6th position will be Champions League. 7th position will be Europa League, and 8th position will be Conference League. That'll be the calculation going on there as well. So that's one thing to keep an eye out for as well. It's a bit of a weird system the way for you to determine who gets the positions in the Champions League and the European football as well. Now, it could be one team, it could be 2 teams, it could be 3 teams in Europa League. It depends on what happens with the results next season as well. Now, if Crystal Palace win against Raya on Wednesday in the Conference League, then they will get a Europa League spot next season, regardless of what happens with 6th position on Sunday, on the previous Sunday. So we could have 1 team in the Europa League, we could have 2 teams in the Europa League, we could have 3 teams in the Europa League. Depends what happens on Sunday that you have to terms on there as well. It could be 3 Europa, 1 conference, and there will be a team in the Conference League regardless anyway. But just to point out that one as well. So Man City VR Aston Villa, that could have been a title decider. It's now just could have implications for Europe instead. That's one of the games. Brighton Manchester United, still European implication for Brighton involved in that one as well. They need to win though to guarantee themselves the European slot next season. Anyway, Fulham Newcastle is pretty much dead rubber. And then we get to one of the main matches as well. Let's talk about Spurs Everton and West Ham Leeds. Because of Spurs losing to Chelsea on Tuesday, that means relegation is at the final day of the season. The implications on this one are simple. Spurs will be taking on Everton at home. West Ham will be playing at home to Leeds. There are going to be a really hostile atmosphere at the end of the game. Well, there's going to be celebratory moods on that one of relief. Let's just say on that part. For Spurs, their job is simple against Everton. They must win against Well, all they need to do actually is effectively get a draw against Everton, and then their job's done because of goal difference alone. Because they've got such a big goal difference at the moment. I think it's a goal difference of 10 that Spurs effectively need to draw against Everton to secure their safe survival this season. That's their implications. For West Ham, though, they must win against Leeds to survive. They're currently 2 points behind the Spurs. They need, for West Ham to have a chance to survive, they need Spurs to lose to Everton, and they must win against Leeds. Anything less than a win for West Ham, they are going to be relegated to the Championship next season. So yeah, this is a big implication for West Ham and Spurs in front of their home fans on Sunday. I mean, whoever gets relegated is going to have such a big. I mean, their public image is going to be go from such a big downfall anyway. West Ham, if you remember, were their stadium was the home of the 2012 Olympics 14 years ago. In 2026, come August, it could be hosting second-tier football. Imagine going from that potentially, the spiritual pride of the world, to now a second-rate team. I mean, imagine that. That would be quite something. For Tottenham, though, it would be if they lose and West Ham win and Tottenham get relegated, it would be the biggest international humiliation and the Premier League's biggest relegation for many, many years. It won't touch the Leicester relegation, I'll tell you that. It may not be. It'll probably you've got to go back to say Leeds in the 2000s when they had a max spectacular season and then got relegated. You have to go far back to know how the scale of would be that be. The only thing about Spurs being relegated is that, one, Expression Oozing is going to be funny to watch on the Sunday, and two, Jamie O'Hara on TalkSport is going to be a cinema on Monday evening. That's the only reason why you want Spurs relegated. If you want West Ham relegated, I want to remind you, by the way, of something that West Ham posted many years ago, and this is on the subject. They talk about humiliation for West Ham. Their image is going to be based on one tweet they posted on the 4th of July 2023. This was on an account called West Ham Central at the time. They posted a video and it showed Declan Rice win the Europa League trophies at Europa Conference League as a West Ham player. The tweet they put out at the time was, watch Declan Rice's first and last ever trophy won as a professional player. By Sunday, they would have could have an eggplant on their face. They would have eggplant in his ears by Tuesday's result. They may well have eggplant full of faces and full of cream over it by the time of Sunday, when that tweet would still have been posted and they could well have been relegated on the Sunday. Someone shut this man's account because, wow, I have to say, 3 years later, it never gets old, this tweet. It never gets old. And they've been humiliated once. Surely it can't be possible to do it twice. Let's just say that on that instance. Moving on from that one anyway, you've got other matches such as Liverpool-Brentford. As you know, there's European implications in that one, depending on the results. We got the Battle of the Wooden Spoon on Sunday as well, between Burnley and Wolves. Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth. That's one to watch as well, because Bournemouth could either be in the Champions League or the Europa League, depending on the results as well. They could still be in the Champions League. We've gone through West Ham, Leeds, Sunderland, and Chelsea. Chelsea got win on to have any chance to have a Conference League position at all. And we also have on Sunday as well the crowning for Arsenal, as they will be away at Selhurst Park to Crystal Palace. I imagine the crowd there is going to be absolutely ginormous outside the stadium there to be celebrating the Arsenal. They were absolutely packed for the Emirates. There's going to be generally a massive crowd there on Sunday outside the stadium. Less about the Crystal Palace or sports of Oliver Glasner's last game, but the crowd is going to be sensational for Arsenal's homecoming and for the trophy celebrations there as well. There'll be so much happening on there as well. And as I mentioned sort of briefly before as well as the Premier League on Sunday, Wednesday's the Europa Conference League final for as well between Crystal Palace and Rayo Valencia as well. You think Palace goes into that as favourites. If they win Palace, they will get Europa League next season. And then they get at least another team in the league next season in European football as well. They will be guaranteed European football if they win that conference. They need to win it well to get European football next season as well. But yeah, you're surely going in there as favourites as we'll get to Rayo Valencia's side on that one. But yeah, that's the football upcoming week.
Lots to talk about in the football, but moving on now, we got motorsport this weekend back, and I'm very excited. Let's start with the events. Formula One is back this weekend around the circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the Canadian Grand Prix. Can I just say, why did they decide to move the Monaco Grand Prix and not?
I agree.
Absolutely crazy idea. But anyway, we're in Canada this week. We're on an iconic circuit. Now, this circuit is for a lot of people going to be, I think, and I'm warning the fans now, to anyone who watched the Nürburgring 24 hours last week and saw Max Verstappen almost win that race until the alternator blew up and ended up retiring. Oh no. He will be back this weekend in the world of electric vacuum cleaners, should I say, racing around this circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where I believe the big test this weekend of the regulations come in, because we haven't got loads of corners like Miami. These are all short, sharp straights. We're going to be on the throttle a lot. There's going to be a lot of energy management happening, a lot of lifting and coasting, even though they have revised the regs on how much allowance of megajoules you're allowed. Anyway, there has been a lot of news on this. In terms of the news, upgrades for teams are expected this weekend. There's also been some news about Esteban Ocon, saying that he could be shafted by Haas middle of the season to be replaced by potentially Jack Doohan, but that he shut the rumours down. Also, Williams have recruited Piers Fine for McLaren to help for their leadership role, and that comes as Williams got their first double points in Miami. And Lance Stroll also explained Aston Martin's focus for his ahead of his home race, also as well, he continues to drive for a team that are at the back of the field at the moment. Also on the support bill this weekend, we have Formula 2 as well. That will be stopping off in Canada. And also as well, Alton Fisher is going to be racing in the F1 Academy this weekend. If you don't know who Alton Fisher is, she's from Canada, and she also raced in British F4 Brands the other week as part of the BTCC support bill, which I actually attended. I'll come on to that later on because I've got something to share about that event. Anyway, Zach, what's your thoughts on the F1 returning this weekend? Another long break, but we're back racing.
Yeah, we had 3 weeks on. Not quite as long this time, but anyway, they're back. And yeah, we're now going to start getting into the run of races now. Finally, we'll start to feel a bit more normal now, going ahead of the season now. And it starts with Canada this weekend, which I'm afraid will nearly clash with the Indy 500. If you're lucky, it will just about. The Indy 500 end just before the Canadian Grand Prix starts. There's going to be a big turnaround if you want to be a motorsport fan on that weekend. Let's just say that. Yeah, Canada's back this weekend. Obviously the big news going into this is that Mercedes got key upgrades. They're bringing upgrades this weekend as well. McLaren are bringing upgrades as well. Mercedes, this is their first big upgrade package of this year. So let's see how much impact it'll have on the performance. We saw McLaren make some progress last week, obviously at Miami, on that front as well. But the main story is that Kimi Antonelli is obviously going to. The fact he comes on this race with 3 wins in a row, actually out the last of the 4 races as well this season, and his run of form continues so much as well. It'll be quite something to see if anything else comes out of it. Been rumours about what's happened with Esteban Ocon. His relationship, apparently, reports in the media have been sowing with the team apparently as well. And actually, if I remember rightly, they may even have already got a reserve driver involved potentially. He may not even see it. Some reports say he may not even see out the season, which is a bit surprising, I have to say as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens on that front. I can't see it. I can't at the moment. I can't see that being the case. But there's a lot of things happening in F1, and we see drivers go halfway through the season as well. So yeah, it's all about the racing this weekend as well. This is interesting enough as well. If you would believe it or not, qualifying on Saturday will have the lowest amount of megajoules a driver can use for a Grand Prix weekend this season so far, because there's a lot of long straights and high speed corners. There is less braking opportunity. There it is. There you go. This will once again an energy heavy consuming circuit as well, which is why the megajoules for qualifying has gone down significantly. I think it's 6 megajoules this weekend as well. There is opportunity to brake in the first corner, and you get something out of that as well. But otherwise, after that, you're going to be on a lot of straights, especially sector 2 and sector 3. You're on the throttle quite a long time. So this will be an energy reserve circuit, and that's why the megajoules have gone down, unsurprisingly, as well. So this will be an energy heavy circuit. There was going to be a lot. Hopefully, won't see a lot of lifts and coasting, but that's why the megajoules have gone down, to obviously create some sort of balance and they make sure they spend less time super clipping on the straights. Whether we'll see that or not will be interesting to see as well. But yeah, this is going to be a long. So there's plenty of opportunities. Will we see anybody crash into the world champions? Well, who knows? That'd be one thing to look out for as well. But it's a test of the regulations this weekend in terms of strategy as well, and obviously the battery and everything like that, and the consumption of that, and obviously with the recent changes, we'll see how much that adds on this weekend as well. It's also a sprint weekend, so that means we've got just the one practice on the Friday, just an hour this time. Then we're going straight into quick sprint qualifying at 9:30. The sprint itself will be on at 5 o'clock, followed by qualifying at 9, and the race itself is at 9. It's slightly later this year, I think, to try and avoid the Indy 500 clash. But yeah, that's the decision they should have avoided in the first place. But yeah, that's Canada this weekend as well. Lots of answers to return on that one.
And we also have as well the Indianapolis 500 qualifying took place last weekend for the huge event taking place this Sunday. I'm absolutely looking forward to the Indy 500 this weekend. It's a massive event. And we have the grid. And look who it is on pole. It's the driver who always dominates. He's been dominating IndyCar last year, Alex Palou, with his 2:32.248. I think they're slightly slower this year, only a little bit down on what they have been previously. Alexander Rossi second for the Ed Carpenter Racing Chevrolet. Rossi is now cleared to race from the medics. He had, I think, a crash a few days ago. Quite a big accident, actually, coming, I think, out of turn 2 or 3. He's been cleared. David Malukas is third. Then you got row 2, Rosenquist, Ferrucci, O'Ward, Kiffin Simpson, Condé, Scott McLaughlin, Dixon, VK, and Sato, who won the event a few years ago in the Rahal Lanigan Racing Honda. Ed Carpenter in his own entry. Helio Castroneves, a veteran of Indy 500 wins. He's also an iconic driver that races at the track, usually in one-offs. Rasmussen, 15th. Armstrong, Ericsson, Lundgaard, Power, Siegel, Foster. There's the rest of the grid. Mick Schumacher will start his first one Indy 525th. And Catherine Legg, who is going to be doing the double this year. Carl Larson last year done the double, the Coca-Cola 600 as well. Obviously, he was a regular NASCAR season driver. So obviously, he could done when done the Indianapolis 500. Catherine Legg will be contesting both events. The Coca-Cola 600 later on in the day and the Indy 500. She actually started 26th. That's pretty good, actually, for Catherine Legg. I wasn't expecting her to be doing particularly that well, but she's done pretty good there. That's in the AJ Foyt Racing Chevrolet. and a Mick Schumacher, believe it or not. You got Ray Hall, Hauger, Abel, row 11 is Stingray Rob, KO Colette, and the dry and Ryan bold entry of Jack Harvey. Zach, what's your opinion on the grid ahead of this weekend's Indianapolis 500?
Yeah. By the way, Kayla and Jack Harvey, by the way, if you may notice in the background, they failed post-qualifying inspection after qualifying. So that's hence the reason why they're at the back of the grid, because they have failed inspection. So they're on 32 second and 33rd. It's a bit different point for Kayla because he made fast 12 qualifying. So that was extremely difficult to see the failed inspection on that area as well. But Alex Palou, wow, I mean, we talk about him a lot, and he turned out to be, his road course is good, but believe me, his speedway speed is good as well. The faster driver, holding off a great time, by the way, from Alex Rossi, who was very good, and then just missed out. David Lucas did really well as a third position as well. I felt Felix Rodenkirk did really well until that last lap. I'm just, unfortunately, it was just not quick enough in the end today. Well done to Santino Ferrucci in 5th position, by the way. Got so far into qualifying. That's incredible, by the way. 2:30.8 as well. And you got Panna Ward in 6th position as well. And then you got some other surprises there. Griffin Simpson, Connor Daly are there as well. Well done to him making fast 12 on that one. Scott McLaughlin 10th as well. And you got some others like Tumisato in there as well. Obviously returning for the Indy 500 as well. Noah Siegel back down in there. Will Powers low down. Joe Newgarden low down as well. Roman Grosjean 24th. You got Catherine Legg. Well done. I mean, not bad effort for her. 26 is, I think, decent, given the fact she's doing the double as well. In that as well. So yeah, that'd be decent to see. And yeah, I mean, that was good qualifying. Obviously, they only had one run in the end. Most of them, obviously, qualifying was condensed a little bit because of the weather on the Saturday. So it only resulted in one run overall for most of the runners throughout the days. But yeah, we'll see how far Indy 500 gets. There's potential rain on the Sunday. When it hits, we don't know. Hopefully, it hits very early on, so we don't have to worry about a delayed start. But you know, weather can be a damn sometimes, so we'll see. But yeah, interesting as well. Yeah, so much to look forward to on the Indy 500 on the Sunday.
Yes, that's all the latest motorsport news. Now it's time for a song, and this song is by American rock band Green Day this week. You'll be interested to know, by the way, I know they're a political band, but I'm not going to play a political song by them. I'm sure you guys know. Anyway, but this song is the one I'm going to play from Green Day this week. It's an absolute classic. I bet you'll know this one. Green Day. This one I'm going to play today is a song entitled Good Riddance, Time of Your Life. We'll see you in a few minutes' time.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
That was Green Day there with the Good Riddance Time of Your Life from their album Nimrod. Obviously, to anyone who doesn't know Green Day, yes, Zach, this band known for an album called American Idiot, an album that is very, very political in some of its certain elements as well, featuring songs like Jesus of Suburbia, American Idiot, and many other songs.
Yeah, American obviously Idiot is well known for obviously digs at certain politicians these days, including the president. That's a well known for American Idiot. But yeah, that one. I mean, that's an underrated classic as well. I mean, it's you know, it gives good evil vibes. I'll have to say, you know, listen to that one. But yeah, really lovely song to listen to back as well.
Yes, you don't have to be a politics fan to enjoy Green Day music, whether it's good or bad. I don't know. I'm gonna comment down below, guys. What your favourite Green Day song is? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, Conversation Street this week. Now, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of things. First thing, okay. Now, last week I couldn't talk about it because we weren't on air, but I'm going to talk to you about it this week. Now, a couple of weeks ago on Saturday, I went to Brands Hatch for the first British touring car race, and I decided to try out a VIP motorsport ticket. And I tell you what, it was really good. And, you know, to be up close in the garage and seeing the whole atmosphere of a racing team being, obviously, I've done it with Power Max Racing, which obviously they run Audi S3s. To be involved with a racing team was really good. Like we had like breakfast, VIP hospitality, breakfast, afternoon lunch in there. They gave you a tour of the garage as well. Went into the main GP paddock area, took some selfies with the drivers, met some media personnel, including Louise Goodman, who obviously presents on the BTCC. She's been involved in so many motorsport backgrounds. Obviously, you know, she's been in the presenting for that role for a long time. And I met a lot of people, and it was great to spend the day with the team. Obviously, Power Max have come back from a recent fire last year, and you know the team have rebuilt a lot over the last year. And obviously, we supported Dexter Patterson. But the biggest thing of the day that I really enjoyed was stepping out on the grid, seeing the cars up close. Do you know what? When you're a racing fan and you watch the cars on the grid, like say you go to Silverstone to watch the British Grand Prix, okay, you're paying like, I don't know, for £1,000 to watch an F1 car roll up on the grid, and you see the 5 red lights, and you like, they blast off after that. But the grid is the whole part, and that's the build-up of a race. To actually go on the grid and see the British touring cars up close. I know they're not F1 cars; they were just like full Focuses and Hyundai 30Ns, basic road cars. But to see the cars up close, it was such a surreal experience. And you know, I literally paid less than £130 to do that. Like, it's crazy. Like, it was actually amazing. On a lovely warm day as well, with the sun shining. Like it's going to be this weekend at Snetterton with highs of about 30 degrees expected for this weekend. So if you're going to the British Touring Cars this weekend at Snetterton, the bank holiday weekend, enjoy it. Plenty of sunscreen needed. But to see the cars up close on the grid was just amazing. And, you know, as a motorsport fan myself, to be up close seeing cars and drivers before the race. This grid walk, by the way, is not available. It's only available to VIPs. So you have to purchase the tickets before you go and get in contact with the teams, which is what I've done. And I've booked to go. I'm doing another one in October for the Brands GP finale with Restart Racing, which run I think they run a Hyundai 30M with James Dorlin and Chris Smiley. Yes, I enjoyed it so much that I'm doing it again. And it was £95. It was a bit cheaper for the Restart one. But they got a simulator as well. So I'll definitely be spending a lot of time on that sim as well. I enjoyed it with Simulator. So yeah. But to anyone who's watching this podcast, if you obviously want to do a general admission ticket, that's absolutely fine. The general admission tickets are going to be a lot cheaper. And trust me, if you sit on like Paddock Hill, you get some fantastic views. Trust me, Brands Hatch is my favourite racing circuit in the UK for that. I wouldn't recommend Silverstone just because of the open paddock. But if you want to upgrade your racing weekend, the VIP ticket is worth an option. Zach, what do you make to this? I mean, VIP racing experiences, they're very, very expensive, particularly obviously on the F1 bill. They're like £5,000, some of the tickets. Have you ever thought about potentially doing one of them one day if you were a millionaire?
Not yet. I think it's more the prices or something like that. That I'm thinking of. I don't think I'll be able to do it for F1. I just think it'd be too expensive. I mean, I love to go in there for £5,000 and everything like that. But no, it's just, yeah. Unless I'm £5,000 rich yet, which I'm not. I don't think I'll be able to do that. But yeah, I suppose it's beneficial for I suppose you get more access and it's more valuable for the smaller series. I mean, like £90 doesn't sound too bad to get all the access. So and yeah. VIP ticket, great things. You get loads of things, access, close-ups and everything like that. Inside, you get all the extra luxuries and everything like that as well. Sort of more the vibes of Paddock and everything like that as well. So you get a lot more. That's probably why it's more expensive. There's a lot of the reason why it's more expensive. You're going to get a lot more features included in it, and yeah, you just feel every element of it as well. You just get as well as you get all the good seats and everything like that. You get your inside. You can sort of get your fan experience, your sort of drive experience, and obviously get to meet more people as well. So yeah, it's always if you want to be a VIP, go be a VIP. Sometimes you get lucky through tickets. Sometimes there might be other means to get it as well, competition, all that sort of thing as well. But anyway, I mean, it's too expensive for me, but blimey, it's lovely. If you ever get inside, wow, you are one lucky person. Let's just say that.
Brands Hatch is a great circuit to do it at, and I think and to get to watch qualifying and the qualifying race from the garage as well, like that was really surreal. Like literally standing in the garage, taking close-ups of Dexter Patterson's Audi S3. Like seeing the mechanics work on the car, it was amazing. Like you wouldn't be allowed to do this if you were a normal ticket holder. They wouldn't let you in this bit. It's where all the media personnel go. So I was literally, do you know what? I was in that paddock the other week, and I was thinking, I miss Steve Ryder, or that guy who's one of the most iconic broadcasters in this country. A veteran broadcaster, done a lot of touring car over the years, also done some Formula One as well. And obviously he's gone through a pretty difficult stage with cancer. And I was just thinking of Steve when I was in there, and I was like, Steve Ryder, if he was in there, I would have tried my hardest to get a selfie with him. He's an absolute icon, and Louise Goodman is as well, and obviously Nikki Shields, she's the current presenter of it. Speaking of that, I forgot to mention Formula Ezak was on in Monaco last weekend. There was plenty of chaos in that, including Dan Tickton, unlucky despite starting on pole.
Oh, Dan Tickton, man. I mean, the first race, yeah, he deserved a penalty. I think it's quite clear that he did a bit of blocking, bit of defending too aggressively, and yeah, it resulted in crashes. Second one, well, yeah, let's just forget that even happened. I mean, that was a lot happening on that as well. Just his form, it was just, well, less said the better, to be said. The week of a Dan Tickton, after such promising signs, well, it all goes a bit wrong for him over the weekend as well, which just wasn't exactly brilliant in that era as well. But yeah, it was actually quite a lot happening, actually. Congratulations. Let me just tell you who the winner was on the Saturday. Nyck de Vries won on Saturday. First time he's won in ages, Nyck de Vries as well. Well done to him. The Mahindra one as well. Ahead of finish, Mitch Evans and Pepe Marti on the podium as well. Yeah. There was DNF for Jake Dennis and Felix Costa on the Sunday. Congratulations to Oliver Rowland and Felipe Drugovich and Telly Felix Costa. Oliver Rowland came from 8th to win that one as well. Felipe Drugovich to 2nd position as well. Good result for Drugovich on that one. Antonio Felix Costa 3rd. Again, issues for Normal Nato and Pepe Marti in that race. And Dan Tickton started on the pole, finished 14th as well. Terry Barner had a poor race as well. Ones that had good, decent races were Lucas de Grassi, Zane Maloney, Nick de Vries, who started 15th and finished 8th. 7th was Joe Exon. Disappointment for Lamar Tar, finished from 3rd to 5th as well on that one. But yeah, great. I know that was actually quite fun overall, that race. Next race is not until a month's time, and they're going to China, actually, would you believe it or not? Next 3 races. First stop in that one is Sanya. I think that's a new circuit. I think it is as well, is Sanya. They're doing a new circuit there. That's a new race as well. That's on the 20th of June. And yeah, that's in a month's time. That starts off a triple header but that's just a single race that weekend. Sanya before double header in July for Shanghai on Formula E there as well. So yeah, that's coming up next month.
Yep, and one more announcement before we round up the show tonight, Zach, is that Luke Humphries and Stephen Bunting are in this week's Premier League final.
Yeah, I'm just about to watch the final as well. Stephen Bunting's had a great night, actually. I'm really surprised. But his result has been really good tonight, actually. He's beaten Johnny Clayton as well. He's beaten Johnny Clayton. He's beat Gerwin Price, out of all people, would you believe it or not, and that one as well. He did really well. He's had a great night overall for him. Luke Humphries made his 3rd final row. He's almost like a dip up in form recently as well. The top 4 was decided already. It was already a dead rubber sign. It will be Luke Littler, Luke Humphries, Gerwin Price, and Johnny Clayton in the O2 next week on Thursday. So that's one to look out for as well. They'll be deciding the Premier League next week. The winner this week is yet to be determined. It's going to be either Humphries or Stephen Bunting.
And that is it for the Tonight Show podcast. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you again next time for another edition of the show. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the lovely weather this weekend. Thank you. And from me and Zach, it's good night.